Municipalities across South Africa are facing one of the most urgent and escalating challenges, a nationwide crisis of water shortages. Millions of residents are feeling the impact as outages grow longer, dilapidated infrastructure. Meanwhile, scrutiny is mainly directed at municipalities, drought conditions and failing systems as one of the key institutions remain largely absent from the national debate is the water boards. Siyabulela Mama, organizer at the Nelson Mandela Bay Water Crisis Committee, joins us now for more, and he joins us via our video link. Mr. Mama, thank you so much for your time this evening, sir, here in SABC News. Let's start off here. You are based in the Nelson Mandela Bay region. Perhaps start off and tell us the water challenges gripped by that region.
Look, Bali, and thanks for this. So, I think the water crisis in Nelson Mandela Bay is interlinked with the crisis that is faced by the whole country. And as much as, for example, in the Eastern Cape, there are pockets of drought that are starting and are manifesting as part and comes with the crisis of water. But we must face the real crisis. The real crisis is the structure of municipalities and how municipalities in South Africa are structured, and how also austerity has began to entrench our municipalities, and the question of the cost recovery plan comes to play. Now, then this creates lots and lots of crises for people who are not able to pay for services such as water and electricity because they are penalized. And the people who are prioritized in terms of services are the people, of course, who are able to pay for this. So this creates this disjuncture in services, and how poor people have to prove how poor they are in order to access these water services. But also linked to this is the crisis of bungling in municipalities, is the crisis of serious, inept failure of municipalities to fix the infrastructure, and how as well the role of water boards such as the Amadola Water Board in the case of the Eastern Cape and in Nelson Mandela Bay are left behind from such debate and accountability when we look and read into these things.
And staying with the issue around water boards and the water boards that you mentioned in your region, are they ever involved in the discussions when it comes to dealing with this water crisis?
Look, and this comes with us having to understand really what is the role of water boards and the role that they're supposed to play in support of our municipalities and their mandate thereof in this case. So the question of who maintains dams, who ensures that dams are in an applicable condition for municipalities to deliver water, and in certain instances, who's at the same time supposed to be working with our municipalities to ensure that infrastructure is at a good and in a applicable condition for services to go. And we rightly criticize our municipalities for failing in these fronts. But what we're missing and what's left out in these debates is the mandates of these water boards and them failing on their mandates. And we forget about them when we read through what we see in terms of the water crisis.
Yeah, and how are they failing, Siyabulela?
Mainly, we have now the crisis of the conditions of water, the quality of water that people are drinking, the crisis as well of infrastructure, and it's also part of their mandate to ensure the efficacy in hand in hand with our municipalities to ensure that delivery and water is in good condition for it to be serviced. Also, in the question of infrastructure, they have a huge mandate to play in that front. But what we're seeing is that our municipalities are then pressured into collecting money from residents to service debts to water boards, while water boards in turn are not really delivering on their mandates. And in fact, we forget about them when we analyze and we look at the crisis of water in broader terms in our municipalities and in South Africa.
And what is then the solution? What needs to happen to ensure that water boards do play their role? And as you mentioned, a very critical role in ensuring that residents do have access to clean water.
I think first what we must look through and we must be critical about is the structure of our municipalities in themselves. Because as it stands, our municipalities are run as if they're big corporations and they need to make profit out of residents. They're not delivering services. They're not making service delivered, but they run as big corporations that need to make profit revenue through this cost recovery plan. And this is because of how National Treasury just contributes 10% of the national budget to municipalities. So the whole structure of municipalities needs to change. And then when we think about that, then we start to question then what should be the role of water boards. For example, in Nelson Mandela Bay, where I live, you have now, as we speak, and this has been historical. We know this when, as well, during the first verge of day zero, where there was Krizani, who didn't have water for over 6 months, while just 10 kilometers away, you had VW that had water unabated. And you'd find that VW, just to produce one car, use about 3 million megaliters of water. And then you see that then there's this unequal structure in terms of delivery and who gets access to water. Then who should be paying for water? Is it the people who use water for subsistence or the people who use and make business out of water? And these are things that we need to think about in terms of how we read the whole system of water in our municipalities and in South Africa.
Mr. Mama, thank you so much for your time. That's Siyabulela Mama. He is the organizer for the Nelson Mandela Bay Water Crisis Committee there, talking to us about the role of water boards and how it can change the impact of this water crisis that we are facing as a nation.